that's coming in on the broadcast. Russian President Vladimir Putin on Thursday said that he wants to end the war in Ukraine and is looking for a speedy end to the conflict. Now, the statement comes just a day after US President Joe Biden hosted Ukraine President Zelenskyy and offered unwavering support in his war against Russia. Now, this was the first known foreign trip by Zelenskyy since the war began, and he managed to secure a $1.8 billion military aid package, including supplies of the Patriot air defense systems. All right, we also have Suresh Kumar Goyal, former ambassador, joining us on the broadcast. So good morning. Thank you for taking the time out and joining us on Mirror now for this discussion. Now, of course, let's begin with the fact that this is Putin's comment that has come in. It's an interesting time that this comment has come in. Before we get into the other aspects of it, how do you read into this statement given by Putin now?
Well, it's not a complete statement in that sense. It's only a partial statement, just announcing the intention that they want to end the war. If you remember, in Prime Minister Modi also in his discussions has said to him that this is not the era of war, and emphasize on diplomacy, discussions, right, negotiations. So in that sense, and if you recall, even at that time when we talked about negotiations and diplomacy, there were conditions coming forth afterwards. So at the moment, even though he said that, yes, he wants to end the war, but on what terms? Those terms have not been announced as yet. Till we know the terms, I think it remains incomplete. Yes.
As you're pointing that out, in fact, in talking about his statement as well, on the other hand, it is quite, the question, of course, arises the timing of this comment. This obviously comes after the fact that Zelenskyy did make that trip to the US. So geopolitically speaking, how does one read into this?
I think, if I'm not mistaken, Putin has made these kind of statements, not the same words, the intention to end the war as soon as possible.
Right.
So has Zelenskyy in the past also. Yes, the timing that just after the USA visit is a little significant, but I do not really attach great deal of importance to it. These are just joking into the kind of discussions and negotiations in the future. So let us see what comes out of it, to be truthful, really. Yeah.
So you believe at this point there's not too much to be reading into this comment? You believe that, at the end of the day, he has made these kind of statements earlier as well?
Yes, absolutely. And that's a reason I said we have to wait and see what he says further before really going in, reading anything further into the statement. Yes. Can you hear
Mr.
me?
Goyal, on the other hand, of course, we are talking about Putin's comment. Yes, I can hear you. But let's also shift a little our focus to the fact that Zelenskyy's visit to the US, if you could also break that down for our viewers, the fact that he also got that standing ovation when he did that particular address. How do you look at that entire episode that did also pan out?
The US president in the past also has said clearly that the USA is going to support Ukraine in this war against Russia. In fact, if I go back to the beginning of the war started because Ukraine wanted to join NATO. There was a hesitation from NATO for the induction of Ukraine into the group, into the organization. Russia didn't want Ukraine to join NATO. And that is how it started, really. Now, ever since then, the USA, without giving clear indication of Ukraine being able to join NATO, has always supported NATO militarily mostly, and also in terms of the diplomatic support. The visit was in continuation of those things and a clear message to the world that USA is fully behind Zelenskyy as the president of Ukraine. And the support, military support, financial support, it has been coming earlier, 1.85 or 0.85, whatever it is. Another amount is being given to Ukraine. So this support will continue. USA will, Zelenskyy's visit to the USA has only made it very clear that USA is not going to give up on Ukraine anytime soon. And USA will continue to really back Ukraine in the war with Russia, with USA supporting it. Zelensky has said that you are not doing us a great favor by supporting us. It's a war for democracy and war for security. And he has said that the war may not end anytime soon, maybe next year. So if you read all those signals, I think we should continue to expect more conflict, more war in the future, till Ukraine thinks that it has exhausted Russia. Yes.
All right, Suresh Kumar Goyal, former ambassador, thank you so much for joining us on Mirror Now and giving us your viewpoint. Like, of course, Mr. Goyal went on to point out that, there's not too much to be read into the context of the statement that Putin has made. But, of course, it is a step in terms of negotiations between the countries. We'll continue.